Hello again, guys, and welcome to my first, review on this channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing Season 3 of Only Murders in the Building. I haven't done Season 1 and 2 yet, because, I haven't. My channel wasn't around for those. But Season 3 just finished last night, at least as of when I'm recording this. I'm not really sure when I'm going to be able to have time to edit this and upload it. But yeah, so I just finished and so I figured, I would like to review it because I really enjoyed the finale. Actually the last couple of episodes. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have the first like minute or two be spoiler free, and then I'm gonna dive into the spoilers. Gonna try to not make this video too long because I really don't want to have to make it, a huge thing to edit. So yeah. Anyway, right into the Roxy hair right like on the side of my nose there. But anyway, so let's get right into it. This season was a lot easier to solve with the murderer, and I really appreciate that. As opposed to last season. Like, because I got it from like episode 2 or 3 maybe, and I was really happy about that. Towards the end, once I got it, once I found out that I was right, I was like, yes. So I was like, please don't pull a turnaround and say that somebody else did it, right? So that was great. The humor in the season was great. I love the sort of grander scale of it. I'm kind of bummed that we're probably gonna have to go back down to that season 1-2 scale, even though that's kind of what the show rests on. It's smaller scale, but because you can't keep building up big scale with this kind of show, because eventually it'll succumb to that, right? It's gonna grow weaker, right? So I think Stranger Things is starting to experience that, right? It started with season 3 as well, with all the whole fun fair, Russians, all that, right? And now it just got to keep getting bigger, right? So and now it's at a point where it's so massive scale that it's like little bit, overstepping the boundaries almost. But anyway, again, really great season. My favorite of the three, personally. I think it's really just has that amazing rewatchability. The fact that now there were these songs also made it really entertaining. And it's just something that I can kind of keep revisiting through these songs, right? Like, which of the Pickwick triplets did it, and Look for the Light, and now the ones that were just uploaded like last night after the episode aired. They uploaded like 2 or 3. Two of them were, I think, Jonathan's songs from like episode 4. So yeah, it was really cool of them, and they did so much, to promote this. Like, they had the experience in New York at the Gooseberry, and then they actually released a playbill of the review of the original show. But anyway, now I'd like to get onto the spoiler part of it, because I'm already at 4 minutes up at the top of my screen here, and I don't want to do anything. I'm kind of taking a little long here. But anyway, so I have like a little sticky note of my little notes here, of things I want to say, and I already said one of them. It was easier to solve, right? With Donna and Cliff, in the cookie thing. I think a lot of people caught on to the cookie thing. I didn't want to catch on. I didn't want to believe it was the cookie thing so early on, so I kind of strayed away from it. But I was definitely leaning towards Donna and Cliff, partially because I wanted Cliff to be the killer. Because when they're starting to promote the season, I was getting really excited because Wesley Taylor was in it, and I know Wesley Taylor from this SpongeBob musical. So I was excited for that, and then also Paul Rudd, Meryl Streep, but we'll get into that in a second. But so I'm also really happy that they were the killers, because they made for probably the most interesting killers since, or well, out of the whole show, you know. Beating Poppy White, I think that was her name, or Becky Butler, really, but in Jan. So, but again, they had some great comedic moments, and I added to this, right? Especially with the celebrity guest this season, Matthew Broderick. So I was really I was so excited when I saw him in the trailer for just that like one shot. But he had some really funny moments in this last episode with him and Uma in I forgot his name. It was like it began with an F. I don't want to say it was Francis, but like saying that's how a Nova Scotian constable would run, you know, or all that. But in how Steve Martin ran for the role of Ferris Bueller, like that you know, he had some funny moments. And then him and Uma, they bounce off each other so well. I would love to see him return for season 4, but it's highly unlikely. Much better than Amy Schumer from last season. I mean, Amy Schumer gets a lot of crap, but really just wasn't funny, right? Sting caught me off guard in season 1, but you know, it was the first season, so we didn't really know what to expect there. Again, I already touched on this. I love the addition of the music, the soundtrack. At first, I wasn't too impressed with the soundtrack this season because it wasn't like the other seasons. It didn't feel like it had that big grand piece, right, where the killer's revealed, or just where that it just didn't feel like it had that big grand piece like the boxer's lover from last season, or who was Tim Kono from the first season. But you know, it once I started listening to it more and more, I started really getting hooked on it. I've been listening to it since it dropped. So, but again, I love the addition of the actual vocal music. So that was a great, nice little added bonus with the musical bit of it, and I'm really glad that they released them. And we even get to hear Paul Rudd sing because they did the Ben version of Creatures of the Night, or no, not Creatures of the Night. Anyway, so yeah, so the last thing I want to really touch on was the cast additions, or at least for the positives I wanted to touch on were the cast additions. So Wesley Taylor, Meryl Streep, and Paul Rudd. Those were my, you know, top 3, I would say. You know, I mean, I'm not counting Matthew because he's, you know, the seasonal, you know, celebrity, right? But I was so surprised to see Paul Rudd, you know, join the cast, right, at the end of season 2. So I was like, wow, season 3 is gonna be bonkers, right? So, and it was great. It really was great, and they all did amazing jobs. Paul Rudd made me really hate him. Like, I mean, I love the dude for Ghostbusters and Ant-Man. I really hated him here, and then I really felt bad for him, you know, come the end of the season. And then in that final confrontation with Wesley Taylor, which I'll jump into him now, I guess, you know, I started to hate him again. But, you know, Wesley Taylor also really pulled it off because I had only seen him in, you know, the SpongeBob musical. So, it was as Plankton. So, you know, getting to see, you know, how he reacted. Like, I was like, oh my God, you know, I felt so bad for him, right? When you know, Donna was telling him that she was going to be going to jail. And like he walked away, you know, he ran off crying, you know, in the middle of what was supposed to be his show. You know, I felt so bad, and you know, it probably, like, it most definitely was an accident. Like, even from, you know, his point of view, it was an accident. Even though he pushed him down and he didn't say anything to anybody, it was an accident. So, yeah. But I also just love the fact that they were duoing Donna and Cliff. So, but yeah. And then Meryl Streep. I mean, I didn't have much exposure to her as an actress or singer, anything from beforehand. I know she did Into the Woods. I've never seen it, though. But, so, this was my first time seeing any of her works. So it was a very pleasant surprise, and now I'm compelled to check out Into the Woods. So... because she, hearing her sing, especially, Look for the Light, I've been listening to that over and over again, right? But, hearing her sing in this final episode, some of these songs, right? It's great. Her duet with Ben, that was great, it was really supposed to be, Oliver Martin Short, but, that duet was amazing. So, she really, and she's just a great actress, in general. So, you could really see the emotion when she was interacting with Dickie. But, yeah. Alright, so now I want to get into some, cons I had with the season and some things I didn't like. So the big one for me, and so if you know anything, about me, I guess it's that I have a 6-foot tall Harold the Scarecrow standing in the opposite corner of my room where I'm recording this. Here. Right there. Yeah, so I love the movie Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, right? And so I was so shocked when I saw Zoe Colletti, I butchered the last name there, in the cast for season 2, right? I was so shocked when she showed up and that's Lucy? Right? And so I was really, banking on the fact that we would see her more in season 3, and then she just disappeared, even though she was at the theater, right? So she just kind of disappeared. For the season, she just had no involvement with it whatsoever. So even though she was there when Ben's initial attack happened, she should have probably been at the after party, I would have thought. Charles would have let her in, but whatever. So hopefully we'll get more of her in season 4, though. It seems to be more Charles based, which we'll get into in a second. But yeah. Another con I had was the first episode's kind of dragged. They with their romantic subplots. It just didn't really, feel like they were actually trying to solve the murder, even though that's when they were actually trying to solve the murder, right? It just didn't feel like it, was contributing to the plot. It was like, okay, here's a character that we're going to pretend is the murderer, and now here's the character's romantic subplots, on top of it. Oh, they're not the murderer? Oh, okay. And then they just didn't really contribute much. So, except the first episode's, exception, right? The first episode's ending was incredible, by the way. You cannot top that.
Wait, what's that?
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
And another thing that was kind of brought up during the first few episodes was the Cinda Canning, like, reaching out to Mabel and being like, hey, you want to podcast? Like, and then that went nowhere. Like, you know, it was kind of hinted towards later on in the season when they kind of split. You know, they did the whole main character split up thing, right? Please don't do that in season 4. That just it's so overdone and so cheap. Please don't do it again. But they just didn't bring it up again. So it felt random and weird, and I was like, okay, so we're just not gonna talk about that. Maybe they'll do it next season. I mean, when they're in the writing room, I mean, they have to have the whole season planned out, you know, before they can go to script writing, and so they have to, you know who's gonna die at the end of the season probably, and they have to know where they're going next season, or at least have a rough idea, and so that might be, you know, tied into next season. So we don't know. Speaking of next season, rest in peace, Saz. When I watched, you know, Charles walk into his apartment, I was like, oh my god, you gotta be freaking kidding me. No. You cannot kill Charles off like that. You cannot do him like that. And then he walks into the room, I'm like, oh, they're gonna kill Saz. So, I mean, really what I thought was gonna happen was Charles was just gonna be like a medically induced coma or something for, like, you know, half the season, right? But no, they just killed Saz. So that really sucks. I mean, it wasn't until this season that I really started liking Saz. Yeah. But when Saz is shot, we see Saz touch her bullet wound and then drag across the floor the blood and write something, right? Or, well, it appears to be writing something, which seems to be alluding towards one of the Hercule Poirot, Agatha Christie books. I don't know which one. But in that story, it's a letter J that's written. So we'll see what letter is written then. But I mean, if it's a J, it could be Joy or it could be Jan. So, I mean, who do we think did it? I mean, personally, it could be somebody Jan hired, right? That could just kind of show up this season and try to get close to Charles, right? It could be Joy. It could be Saz, even. It could be a fake out from Saz, right? Maybe, you know, to try and actually kill Charles because maybe Saz actually, you know, got into a relationship with Jan. Maybe it could be his actual wife, you know, or his wife's husband, right? So these are just some people, or maybe it could be somebody entirely new. I mean, something I think would be really interesting is if it was somebody we already know, like somebody from past seasons. I just hope it's not like Howard or Uma or somebody, right? Because those are like my, you know, favorite side characters, and I hope you know, Howard and Uma get some more screen time. I was happy with, you know, what Howard got this season, but I'd love to see, you know, Uma more because she's highly underrated. And I was also very happy to see Bunny return with her fidget spinner. But yeah, so I think that wraps up everything on my notepad or on my note sheet. And we're at 20 minutes. So season 4 has already been greenlit, and now that the writer's strike over, they can already start writing it. It's just hopefully the actor's strike ends soon, so that way all these other shows can get kicked off. But So Disney's been releasing shows, some like Star Wars shows, I think, on Blu-ray. So hopefully, since they are partnered with Hulu, Hulu just released Prey on Blu-ray. Hopefully, we can maybe see Only Murders in the Building seasons 1 through 3 on Blu-ray soon. So I'm holding out hope for that. But in the meantime, thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave some comments on your theories on who killed Saz. It helps the YouTube algorithm, which is a kind of shit show, which is gonna tell the algorithm now not to show my video to anyone. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.